Welcome to ihnani.com. Computer Fundamentals. Introduction to Computers. Our intention is to make this tutorial useful and easy to understand by everyone, including even those people who have never touched a computer and also those who are computer literates. This is third video of Computer Fundamentals Part 1. In this video we shall continue with the history of computers. I will be starting with IBM's Harvard Mark I computer. For those who have not gone through the previous videos, I would suggest to complete them before going through this video, which will help you in understanding it better. Mark I. Howard Hathaway Aiken was a pioneer in computing, being the original conceptual designer behind IBM's Harvard Mark I computer. He studied at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and later obtained his Ph.D. in physics at Harvard University in 1939. During this time, he encountered differential equations that he could only solve numerically. He envisioned an electromechanical computing device that could do much of the tedious work for him. This computer was originally called the Automatic Sequence Controlled Calculator, ASC, and later renamed Harvard Mark I. With help from Grace Hopper and funding from IBM, the machine was built at IBM and shipped to Harvard in February 1944. It began computations for the U.S. Navy Bureau of Ships in May and was officially presented to the university on August 7, 1944. This picture shows left side of the Harvard IBM Mark I computer. This machine is in the Cabot Science Building at Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. This was the first programmable digital computer made in the U.S. But it was not a purely electronic computer. Instead, the Mark I was constructed out of switches, relays, rotating shafts, and clutches. The machine weighed 5 tons. Incorporated 500 miles of wire, was 8 feet tall and 51 feet long, and had a 50 feet rotating shaft running its length, turned by a 5-horsepower electric motor. This picture shows the right side of Harvard IBM Mark I computer. The Mark I had 60 sets of 24 switches for manual data entry and could store 72 numbers, each 23 decimal digits long. It could do 3 additions or subtractions in a second. A multiplication took 6 seconds, a division took 15.3 seconds, and a logarithm or a trigonometric function took over 1 minute. Here you can see the detail of input, output and control of the Harvard IBM Mark I computer. The Mark I ran non-stop for 15 years, sounding like a room full of ladies knitting. It was very reliable, much more so than early electronic computers. It has been described as the beginning of the era of the modern computer and the real dawn of the computer age. In 1947, Aiken completed his work on the Harvard Mark II computer. He continued his work on the Mark III and the Harvard Mark IV. The Mark III used some electronic components and the Mark IV was all electronic. The Mark III and Mark IV used magnetic drum memory and the Mark IV also had magnetic core memory. Aiken was inspired by Charles Babbage's difference engine. One of the primary programmers for the Mark I was a woman, Grace Hopper. Hopper found the first computer bug. A dead moth that had gotten into the Mark I and whose wings were blocking the reading of the holes in the paper tape. The word bug had been used to describe a defect since at least 1889, but Hopper is credited with coining the word debugging to describe the work to eliminate program faults. ENIAC. ENIAC, short for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer, was the first general-purpose, electronic computer. It was a Turing-complete, digital computer capable of being reprogrammed to solve a full range of computing problems. ENIAC was conceived and designed by John Mauchly and J. Prespereckert of the University of Pennsylvania. The ENIAC's design and construction was financed by the United States Army during World War II. The construction work started secretly by the University of Pennsylvania's Moore School of Electrical Engineering in July 1943 under the code name Project PX. It was completed in February 1946 and had cost $500,000. It was put to use in the Army in July 1946, and was shot down in November 1946 for memory upgrade and refurbishment. It was turned back on in July 1947 and was in continuous operation until 11:45 p.m. On October 2, 1955. The ENIAC contained 17,468 vacuum tubes, along with 70,000 resistors, 10,000 capacitors, 1,500 relays, 6,000 manual switches and 5 million soldered joints. It covered 1,800 square feet, 167 square meters, of floor space, weighed 30 tons, and consumed 160 kilowatts of electrical power. The picture shows ENIAC in action, but the picture does not cover the complete system. Hope you can understand about its size. ENIAC was 1,000 times faster than any other calculating machine to date. In 1 second, the ENIAC could perform 5,000 additions, 357 multiplications or 38 divisions. The use of vacuum tubes instead of switches and relays created the increase in speed, but it was not a quick machine to reprogram. Programming changes would take the technicians weeks, and the machine always required long hours of maintenance. As a side note, research on the ENIAC led to many improvements in the vacuum tube. EDVAC. EDVAC, short for electronic, discrete, variable, automatic, computer, was one of the earliest electronic computers. Unlike its predecessor the ENIAC, it was binary rather than decimal, and was a stored program machine. ENIAC's designers wanted to eliminate the intolerable fact that reprogramming the computer required a physical modification of all the patch cords and switches. It took days to change ENIAC's program. John Mauchly and J. Prespereckert teamed up with the mathematician John von Neumann to design EDVAC, which pioneered the stored program. They proposed the EDVAC's construction in August 1944, and design work for the EDVAC commenced 2 years before the ENIAC was fully operational. The design would implement a number of important architectural and logical improvements conceived during the ENIAC's construction, and would incorporate a high-speed serial access memory. Like the ENIAC, the EDVAC was built for the U.S. Army's Ballistics Research Laboratory at the Aberdeen Proving Ground by the University of Pennsylvania's Moore School of Electrical Engineering. A contract to build the new computer was signed in April 1946 with an initial budget of $100,000. The final cost of EDVAC, however, was similar to the ENIAC's, at just under $500,000. The EDVAC was a binary serial computer with automatic addition, subtraction, multiplication, programmed division and automatic checking with an ultrasonic serial memory capacity of 1044-bit words, which was later set to 1024 words, thus giving a memory, in modern terms, of 5.5 kilobytes. Physically, the computer contained a magnetic tape reader recorder. A control unit with an oscilloscope. A dispatcher unit to receive instructions from the control and memory and direct them to other units. A computational unit to perform arithmetic operations on a pair of numbers at a time and send the result to memory after checking on a duplicate unit. A timer. A dual memory unit consisting of two sets of 64 Mercury acoustic delay lines of 8 words capacity on each line. And 3 temporary tanks each holding a single word. The computer had almost 6,000 vacuum tubes and 12,000 diodes, and consumed 56 kilowatts of power. It covered 490 square foot of floor space and weighed 7,850 kilograms. The full complement of operating personnel was 30 people for each 8-hour shift. UNIVAC's addition time was 864 microseconds and its multiplication time was 2,900 microseconds, that is 2.9 milliseconds. UNIVAC was delivered to the Ballistics Research Laboratory in August 1949. After a number of problems had been discovered and solved, the computer began operation in 1951. Although only on a limited basis. Its completion was delayed because of a dispute over patent rights between Eckert and Mauchly and the University of Pennsylvania, resulting in Eckert and Mauchly's resignation and departure to form the Eckert-Mauchly Computer Corporation and taking most of the senior engineers with them. By 1960, UNIVAC was running over 20 hours a day with error-free runtime, averaging 8 hours. UNIVAC received a number of upgrades including punch card input-output in 1953, extra memory in slower magnetic drum form in 1954, and a floating point arithmetic unit in 1958. UNIVAC ran until 1961 when it was replaced by Burlesque. During its operational life it proved to be reliable and productive for its time. Univac 1. By the end of the 1950s, computers were no longer one-of-a-kind devices held only by universities and government research labs. While designing the UNIVAC, its founders, John Mauchly and J. Presper Eckert, left the university over a dispute about who owned the patents for their invention. They decided to set up their own company. On December 22, 1947, the Eckert-Mauchly Computer Corporation, EMCC, was started. Their first product was the famous Univac computer. In short, it stands for Universal Automatic Computer. Univac was the first commercial-produced computer in the United States. Though the design work had begun by their company, Eckert-Mauchly Computer Corporation, it was completed only after their company had been acquired by Remington Rand, which later became part of Sperry, now Unisys. Until the successor models of the Univac 1 appeared, the machine was simply known as the Univac. The machine's central complex alone, that is the processor and memory unit, was 4.3 meters by 2.4 meters by 2.6 meters high. In total, it was 25 feet by 50 feet in length. It contained 5,600 tubes, 18,000 crystal diodes, and 300 relays. It utilized serial circuitry, 2.25 MHz bitrate, and had an internal storage capacity of 1,000 words or 12,000 characters. The Univac was also the first computer to come equipped with a magnetic tape unit and was the first computer to use buffer memory. It utilized a mercury delay line, magnetic tape, and typewriter output. The Univac was used for general-purpose computing with large amounts of input and output. Power consumption was about 125 kilowatts. Its reported processing speed was 0.525 milliseconds for arithmetic functions, 2.15 milliseconds for multiplication and 3.9 milliseconds for division. The first Univac was delivered to the United States Census Bureau on March 31, 1951, and was dedicated on June 14 that year. In 1952, the Univac 1 successfully predicted the outcome of the 1952 presidential election, during a televised news broadcast. By 1953, 3 Univacs were installed and in operation at customer locations, and there were orders for 9 more. From 1951 to 1958, a total of 46 Univac 1 computers were delivered, all of which have since been phased out. In the next video, of computer fundamentals, I will start with generations of computers.